काशी हरि गुण गाओ, हरि नाम गाओ, मन में जपन करो हरि नाम रे। स्मरण स्मरण करो हरि नाम रे, मन में जपन करो हरि नाम रे। स्मरण स्मरण करो हरि नाम रे। आनंद आनंद हरि नाम रे। हरि ओम।
हरिओम सर।
हरिओम।
हरि नाम। Okay. प्रातः स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित्सुखं परमहं सगतिं तुरीयम् यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवेति नित्यं तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। बोधोऽन्यसाधनेभ्यो हि साक्षान्मोक्षैकसाधनम् पाकस्य वह्निवज्ञानं विना मोक्षो न सिद्ध्यति। We'll chant verses 8 to 12 of chapter 13. Chapter 13, chapter 13, verses number 8 to 12. अमानित्वं मदम्भित्वम् अहिंसा क्षान्तिरार्जवम् आचार्योपासनं शौचं स्थैर्यमात्मविनिग्रहः अमानित्वं मदम्भित्वम् अहिंसा क्षान्तिरार्जवम् आचार्योपासनं शौचं स्थैर्यमात्मविनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधिः दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम् इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधिः दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम् असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्गः पुत्रदारगृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्गः पुत्रदारगृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम् अरतेर्जरसंसदि मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम् अरतेर्जरसंसदि अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वं तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतज्ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तः अज्ञानं यदतोऽन्यथा अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वं तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतज्ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानं यदतोऽन्यथा. Okay, 20 qualities of a jnani. 20 qualities of a jnani. I don't know if you've thought about it. Why are there 35 qualities of a bhakta, but only 20 qualities of a jnani? Anyone thought about it? Do jnanis have less qualities than bhaktas? Huh? Bhaktas are perhaps more qualified or more rigorous. See, in general, the intellectual is much more concise than the emotional. You want to express something in words, you want to express something in affection through affection, you'll need lines after lines, paragraphs after paragraphs. The best of poetry also will take at least a few words. The best of poetry will take at least a few words. Even a John Milton will take at least a few words to express his beautiful thoughts, emotions. But the intellectual is very concise. One line of a mathematical statement. Chetna ji, one line of a mathematical statement, how much can it convey?
X can be anything, so XY can be anything, so everything, many things.
One line of a mathematical statement can convey a lot more. It's packed. So the intellectual is far more concise. To say that these 20 qualities and those 35 qualities, they add up to the same thing. They add up to the same thing. So we had started with the 20 qualities of a jnani, and we had covered the first four or five qualities. Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam. Qualities to live by. Humility, amanitvam, that conscious acknowledgement of the limitations of one's knowledge. More than the limitations of one knowledge, it is the acknowledgement, it's the awareness of the vastness of ignorance. It's an acknowledgement of the vastness of knowledge that lies yet to be discovered. The moment you are aware of that, the moment the focus shifts from how much I know to how much I don't know yet. You may know a lot, but there's a lot more you don't know. That thought in you will create a sense of humility. The best leaders are the best listeners. I was just reading an article on Satya Nadella. You all know Satya Nadella? Some of you may not know Satya Nadella. He's the CEO of Microsoft. Hmm? One of the most valuable companies in the world today. And if any of you are interested in the business or the technology world, the story of Microsoft, especially in the last 10 years, has been remarkable. And Satya Nadella has been at the forefront of it. He's been the pivotal leader driving this entire transformation. So, in that article, they said, what a keen listener he is. Hmm. They said, two employees, Satya Nadella had a meeting with two employees, just senior manager level. Hmm. Not even like a director or a VP level, just senior manager level and a manager level employee. A 20-minute, 25-minute meeting. And the people who had a meeting with him remarked something very interesting. He didn't say anything to them. He only asked. He only asked questions. And there was never a point where he was giving them lecture on what should be done. To be in that position and resist the urge to shower your knowledge. And he has a lot of knowledge. I'm sure he has a lot of thoughts and ideas. The best of the smartest of people, the best of people are the best listeners. They have a willingness to learn. And that willingness to learn is an expression of your humility. That willingness to learn, that willingness to know more, the willingness to be challenged. The willingness to be challenged. Maybe what I know may not be the correct thing, or there may be a better perspective, or there may be certain improvements I can make in my understanding. That feeling, that genuine feeling. Certainly, I know a lot, no doubt about it. That genuine feeling is humility. And that shift from what you know to what you don't know, that's the shift that brings about this beautiful quality. The first quality of a jnani. The moment he steps into the infinite vastness of knowledge, he realizes whatever he knows is a small drop in the ocean. That small drop in the ocean, that acknowledgement that he is a small drop in the ocean, his knowledge is a small drop in the ocean, that acknowledgement makes him humble. If you think you know, you cannot be humble. If you think you know everything, if you think your understanding is correct, if you think you've understood, if you think that there can be no further improvement in your perspective, you cannot be humble. Amanit. That's why, quite rightly, it is the first quality of a person of knowledge. And no weakness to pretend otherwise. No weakness to show that you are anything other than what you are. No weakness to pretend to know more than you actually know. No weakness to show yourself to be better than what you are. Unpretentiousness. And goes hand in hand. Goes hand in hand. The focus is on who you are rather than how you are perceived. The it's a human weakness to be dependent on the of your image in the eyes of others. I wouldn't say the opinion of dependence on the opinion of others is necessarily a weakness always. In certain situations, it's important to seek the opinion of others. But the dependence on your image to protect your image in the eyes of others, it's a big human weakness. A person of knowledge, a man of knowledge, a jnani doesn't dwell on it. unpretentiousness, adambhitvam, ahimsa, shanti, harmlessness, forgiveness, arjavam, uprightness, standing up for what is true, being upright, being straightforward, being clear in your conscience and conviction, not allowing yourself to stray away from it. It helps you to be true to others, it helps you to be true to yourself. As Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as night does day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. You stand up for something, even if it is not the easy decision to take, because you believe in it. Stand up for something, even though it is against the herd, against what others are doing. It may be, but you believe in it. Stand up for it, upright. To be upright, you have to have a very close relationship with your inner voice, your own buddhi. Your buddhi has to be strong in its capacity to understand and interpret situations and circumstances, and your mind has to be connected. Your mind must feel what the intellect is thinking. When that happens, high chances that you'll be upright. So that's where we concluded last class. And he continues, Acharyo Pasanam. Acharya means teacher. Acharyo Pasanam means service, worshipping the teacher, service to the teacher, service to the preceptor. Very controversial quality. The teacher is telling the student, the quality of a good student, a gnani, is service to the teacher. The teacher doesn't need your service. The teacher doesn't need anything from you. Service to the teacher in any form is an expression of your gratitude for what you have received. Like your gratitude expresses in the form of 20 items early in the morning for breakfast, when you host class for us. Service to the preceptor. Not because the teacher needs the service, but to express your gratitude. And that gratitude can be expressed in multiple ways. That service can be expressed in multiple ways. There is material service, by offering dakshina. There is physical service, by making arrangements, by organizing. When Swamiji has a Jnana Yajna, a lot of people come to volunteer to make the event a success. It is a Acharya Upasana. It's a service to the preceptor. But beyond material and physical service lies the service at the subtler level, where you imbibe the knowledge in your own life and ultimately convey it to others. In many ways, this classroom is a service to my teacher, my guru. His teaching us is a service to his guru. His teaching him is a service to their guru. genuinely imbibing the knowledge in your life, making that effort, because it takes a lot of effort. There's no better way of expressing gratitude to your teacher than by acknowledging that what they have given you is actually helping them shape their lives. You're taking their mission forward. So the idea of service is to express your gratitude. And you'll express gratitude only when you have a feeling, a sense of an overwhelming sense, an acknowledgement of what you have received. I repeat, you will be grateful, you will have gratitude only when you have an overwhelming sense of what you have received. So service to the preceptor is is a result of your awareness of the value of this knowledge that you are receiving from the preceptor. When the jnani values the knowledge that they are receiving, they automatically have an attitude of gratitude. They automatically have a spirit of service and sacrifice towards the guru, towards the teacher, towards the mission. The guru comes into your life and removes lifetimes worth of darkness. One cannot measure. One cannot measure the role of the teacher in your life. When you recognize that, you'll be helplessly grateful. You'll be helplessly grateful. It boils down to understanding the value of the knowledge you are receiving. It boils down to understanding the value of the knowledge you are receiving. If if the value of the knowledge is 20%, the gratitude is 20%. One who is an artha, who uses this knowledge to remove emotional distress, or an artharthi, they will have a certain value for this knowledge, and automatically they'll have a certain gratitude for the teacher. One who goes further as a jnani, remember who's a jnani, one who goes further to acknowledge the role of this knowledge in their spiritual evolution, the level of gratitude, that level of gratitude is immeasurable, unfathomable. Acharyo. Thank you for helping me cross over this ocean of ignorance. That feeling of indebtedness. Acharyupasanam, beautiful quality of a jnani, of a person of knowledge. One who understands the value of the knowledge they have received. Shaucham, purity. Purity in thought. No tolerance for dirt. No tolerance for any negative emotion. No tolerance for any negative thought. The moment dirt comes into cognizance, removing it immediately. This thought is not helpful for my spiritual evolution. This thought is not pure. Dismissing it. That level of discipline, ridding yourself of impurities both externally and internally. Taking care of your body physically, taking care of your environment, your room, your household, your community. And the more you evolve, the more this tolerance for dirt, the more it'll become impersonal, the more it'll become selfless. Uh, You'll not only remove the dirt around you, you'll help others remove their dirt also. So, zero tolerance for physical or material uncleanliness, for mental agitation, for intellectual confusion. Zero tolerance for that. Working proactively to remove it, working proactively to alleviate it. That is Shaucham, working to purify yourself. Sthairyam, steadfast. This journey of jnanam is not a part time pastime, it's not an occasional casual interest. It's not something that will bear fruit immediately. You have to be patient with it, you have to be steadfast and determined. That capacity to be determined until you reach the end of it, the conclusion of it. That consistency is called steadfastness. That patience with yourself is steadfastness. Showing up each day, even when your mind doesn't want to, is steadfastness. The mind will always want to be distracted. The mind will find all sorts of excuses. Sthairya. It's an essential ingredient in your spiritual journey, even any material journey. If you want to start an organization, if you want to organize something, if you want to run something, if you want to manage something, you have to have steadfastness. Otherwise, it's not possible to succeed. Atma vinigraha, self control. Self control. Just as Arjavam was a close knit bond between the mind and the intellect, uprightness. Similarly, in self control, you are speaking to yourself, you're conscious of your impulses, you're conscious of your attractions. Hmm? Self control is not denial, it is an awareness of one's own boundaries. What is beyond your boundary, what does not help you in your spiritual journey, or rather which what makes you fall back, that you will abstain from. Sense objects will always attract you, sense objects will always distract you. They are like the world is full of its attractions. The world is designed this way. Sense objects are designed in a way to attract your senses, and your senses are designed in a way to be attracted by sense objects. It's the design of nature. For nature to sustain itself, it's a design of nature. But human beings alone have been given a buddhi. All other creatures have a pattern. It's almost like a preset bound. Their boundaries are set, and naturally they don't go beyond it. Huh? Naturally they don't go beyond it. You'll not see any animal overeat. If you be around animals, you'll see. So, yeah, I have two dogs. Some of you know I have two dogs. Even among breeds, there is a slight difference in tendencies. But one of the fellows, the small one, will never overeat. You give him extra food, when he's done, he'll stop. He won't overeat. Animal kingdom at large, broadly speaking, has it's just again once again the design of nature. It almost seems like their impulses and their boundaries are preset, uh, and rarely do they transgress. Humans alone have been given the buddhi. You have to use your buddhi to manage your boundaries. You have to use your buddhi to keep your mind and senses within the boundaries. That's about it. Now, if you don't do it, you suffer. If we don't do it, if we don't practice self control, we can waste away our entire time, our entire energy. Another beautiful quality, a spiritual quality, is called tapas. Tapas means the conservations of one's energy, not letting it dissipate unnecessarily into unproductive channels. Where do you employ your body? Where do you employ your mind and its feelings? Where do you employ your intellect and its thoughts? What are you spending time thinking upon? You have 50,000 thoughts in a day. What do you spend it on? Being conscious and discerning about what you choose to allow your mind and intellect to indulge in and what you don't. That's tapas. That's self control. Otherwise, if left to itself, the mind can wail its time away. Before you know it, you end up tired. Spent all your energy. You have limited energy. Your energy is not infinite. So, not allowing yourself to waste away your energy, directing your energy towards your spiritual goal, and understanding in the process of it. See, your mind is your mind. You have to make it allowances. You can't go from being completely indulgent to completely abstinent. It's not possible. So, you have to take steps, the gradual steps. So, at each step, your boundaries are different. If you're used to something every day, make allowances, reduce it. But if you're trying to bring about changes in certain patterns, in certain practices in your life, gradually work towards changing it. But make your intellect control your mind to live up to those boundaries. Make small changes, but make consistent and steady changes. Be steadfast. Have that self control. So, self control is not self denial. If you deny yourself, denial means going from 100 to 0. Not it's like New Year's resolutions. Why do New Year's resolutions fail? Because they demand a denial. They demand from you an immediate change. It's not possible. It's not possible. Change has to be gradual. So, self control. Keeping your mind and senses within its boundaries. The boundaries you determine. There's no preset moral boundaries. You determine your boundaries. What is appropriate for a child may not be appropriate for an adult. What is appropriate for an adult may not be appropriate for a child. So there's no such preset boundaries. Your goal determines your boundaries. Your current state of evolution determines your boundaries. So use your intellect to set your goal. Based on the goal, your boundaries are determined, and try to maintain them. That's self control. And he continues in verse number 9. Indriyartheshu vairagyam अनहंकार एव च जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुःख दोषानुदर्शनम् इंद्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहंकार एव च जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुःख दोषानुदर्शनम् इंद्रिय अर्थेषु. Indriya Artha means sense objects. Indriya Artheshu means of sense objects. Vairagyam, dispassion for sense objects. Dispassion towards sense objects. Anahankara. Ahankar means egoism. Anahankara means no egoism, no ego, absence of egoism. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhihi Dukkha doshanu darshanam. Janma mrityu jara vyadihi. Dukkha darshanam. The darshanam, the perception of the dukkha and the dosha, the perception of the pain and evil of janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, birth, death, disease, old age, and death, mrityu. So, three more qualities: dispassion towards sense objects, indriyartheshu vairagyam, anahankara, absence of egoism, and third quality is perception of the pain and evil of birth, disease, old age, and death.
So, self-control and dispassion towards sense objects is like same thing only.
You may have self control but not dispassion. You may have self control but not dispassion. In the beginning of your journey, you may not have dispassion. Once you have dispassion, you don't need self control almost. You're already controlled. You don't need to
So
practice.
I thought, so I thought it was, so I thought it was still self-control, but now he's saying dispassion also.
Hmm. So self control is the beginning of the journey. Uh, and in the beginning, you have to make a lot of effort to control. Once you grow above a desire, you don't need to make effort to control. You're automatically in a state of control. Why? Because you have dispassion. You have no interest in it. See, the same thing comes in chapter 4 when he talks about self control. Same thing comes in chapter 4, 26, 27, verses 26 and 27. Beautiful verses. Go back to it. He'll talk about this concept, the difference between self control and dispassion. One is the beginner, one is the advanced. So once you gain dispassion, your self control becomes automatic. And to make your self control automatic, you have to gain dispassion. So it's like two pedals to a wheel. It's like two pedals to a wheel. You do a little bit of self control to help you gain knowledge, to make time and allowance. See, because if you don't have self control, what is happening? All your energy is being wasted. I don't have time for this. Sorry, I'll come back to this later. You don't have time for knowledge. You don't have time to think and contemplate upon this. You're too distracted. Later, maybe later. I'll come next time. And if you don't have time for knowledge, there's no chance you're getting dispassion. So you have to have self control. If you're capable of 10%, push yourself to 15%, but make that 15% effort and gain knowledge. The dispassion you achieve through that knowledge will help you control to 20%. So that's how it's like two pedals to a wheel. You push one down, the other one automatically comes up. You push the other down, and in the process, you move forward. So, good question. Ultimately, the knowledge that a jnani gains helps him turn disinterested in the world. Now, if I say this very openly, it might scare people. And if I say, see, take a step back to understand what it means. Knowledge, as defined by Adi Shankaracharya, is Nitya Anitya Viveka Vichara. Nitya Anitya Viveka Vichara. Contemplating, discerning between the real and the unreal. And gradually rising above the unreal, shifting your focus away from the unreal. Sense objects and the pleasures, they are anitya, they are impermanent, they have a beginning and an end, they have a limitation. They have a limitation. Yes, they can bring you temporary pleasure, but after that, what? What after that? You want to earn 10 lakhs, fine, earn 10 lakhs. You want to earn 1 crore, fine, earn 1 crore. You want to earn 5 crores, earn 5 crores. You want to earn 10 crores, fine, earn 10 crores. You want to earn 100 crores, 1000 crores, 10,000 crores. How much more? And at each point, we think, yes, if I get that, I will be happy. If I achieve that, I will be happy. If I achieve this amount of material wealth, if I gain this amount of enjoyment, I will be happy. It's a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap in which all of us are entangled, speaker included. It's a trap in which all of us are entangled. A jnani is one who is entangling himself, unentangling himself, disentangling himself through an understanding that all of these involvements are fleeting, are temporary, are futile. Life is worth a lot more. He develops in himself not a desire for sense objects, not a desire for material possession, but a desire for liberation, mumukshatva. The moment there is mumukshatva, the extent to which there is mumukshatva, to that extent there is dispassion towards sense objects. So dispassion towards sense objects will only come when there is passion towards something else. This cannot be in a vacuum. You cannot just be dispassionate about it. If you're taking your mind away from something, where are you taking it to?
A higher goal.
So your passion and your attraction and your involvement and attachment to a higher goal makes you detached and disentangled and dispassionate towards the lower. It's as simple as that. Attached to the higher, detached from the lower. If you want to have a passion, if you want to have if you want to be crazy about something, be crazy about the spiritual path. That's the path of bhakti. See, that's an element of bhakti. You want to be crazy about the Lord. Mori lagi lagan guru charanan ki. Mori lagi lagan guru charanan ki. I'm crazy about the Lord. I am immersing myself at the lotus feet of the Lord. Guru charanan. So if you have to be crazy, if you have to be attached, attach yourself to the higher. When you attach yourself to the higher, you detach from the lower. When a jnani sets a higher goal, automatically there is dispassion towards the lower. Automatically there is self-control. But to develop this higher goal, to articulate this higher goal, to pitch up this higher goal, you need to make time and effort for knowledge, to study, to contemplate, to reflect. And for that, you need self-control. So you need self-control to help build dispassion. And that extent to which you are dispassionate, to that extent, further self-control is possible. That's how it goes. But what's important to understand is that disinterest doesn't happen in a vacuum. A child cannot become disinterested in toys. A child has to grow into a young adult and become attracted to something else. When they get attracted to something else, the disinterest in the toys happens. So don't worry. Oh, am I detached? Am I getting detached? Am I getting detached? Don't worry about becoming detached. Focus on clinging to the higher. Focus on clinging to the higher. Focus on grabbing the higher with your intellect, grabbing the knowledge, with your mind, immersing yourself in devotion. When you grab the higher, automatically the lower fades away, falls away. So don't worry about detachment. See, this concept will also help you understand karma yoga better. Don't worry about the fruit of spiritual path, which is detachment. Detachment is a result. Focus on attachment to the higher. Detachment happens automatically. Detachment happens automatically. Problem is we don't want to get attached to the higher. Huh? That's the problem. I'm saying it. A little bit is okay. A little bit of this knowledge is okay, but we have to be practical. Too much of Vedanta is also. I know a lot of people who think this way. Dispassion towards sense objects. A jnani has a clarity of the clarity of the higher, a razor sharp focus on his purpose in life. Automatically, that razor sharp focus creates a clarity, a dispassion, an
Can I
awareness
just
of
ask?
the limitation, an awareness of the limitation of what sense objects bring to the table. That awareness. Yes, sense objects attract you. Yes, sense objects bring pleasure. Yes, sense objects will give you a lot of enjoyment, no doubt about it. But for what? When the jnani has this clarity, then he doesn't easily slip. For what? What am I giving away for this pleasure? Nitya, anitya. What is more permanent versus impermanent? What is more pervasive? What is temporary and impulsive and ephemeral? Nitya, anitya. Constant awareness of that. Yeah, you had a question.
Yeah. So, since you brought Karma Yoga, so attachment to the higher, can I understand like this in Karma Yoga? It means Yagya Bhav, developing Yagya Bhav.
Um, uh, Certainly, it is yagya bhav as far as your actions are concerned. It is a immerse, immersing yourself in knowledge as far as your intellect is concerned. It is an awareness of the divinity as far as bhakti is concerned. So these three elements are what attachment to the higher means. Hmm? Karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Ultimately, your mind will ask, others are not doing their karma, why should I do my karma? So Bhakta and you will say, because the Lord said so. Do it because the Lord said so. That's it. See, either you're clear about it, or you need this kind of justification. If your intellect cannot understand, your mind just must surrender. If your intellect cannot understand, your mind must surrender. But together, all of these three will help you detach from the Lord. Dispassion. Anahankaraha. Hmm? Anahankaraha. So, very similar to the first quality of humility. Immediately, when one is humble, one recognizes one's place in the macrocosm. Immediately, when one is humble, they recognize how they are a spoke in the wheel, a part of the whole. The absence of that, in the absence of that, one develops an ego. When one doesn't have a cognizance of the whole, when the focus is only on oneself, they feel, I am supreme, I alone exist, and I am the doer. These are the three ways in which the ego functions. when you are not conscious of the totality, when you're not conscious of the bigger picture, when you're not conscious of the macrocosm, when the focus is only on I, it manifests in these three ways. I am supreme. It makes you feel that you are greater than others. I alone exist. Everything must cater to me. I'm all important. I alone exist. And I am the doer. I am responsible for it. Kartritva bhavana. I am responsible for it.
So this I am the doer is the most difficult thing. The other two, we somehow think that I am not supreme and I only don't exist. But I am the doer. This comes subconsciously. जितना भी ट्राई करते हैं वो सबकॉन्शियसली दिमाग में घुस जाते हैं.
See, life has a beautiful way of. See, the ego is like ice. The ego is like ice. If it doesn't melt, you have to break it. So if it doesn't melt automatically, you have to beat it. You have to break it with a hammer, and that, I don't know what that tool is called. So life has a way of teaching us through the hammerings. So we understand we are not supreme. Clearly, there are others more supreme than us. Even then, we cling to the ego. Among my peers, I am supreme. Or we cannot stand, oh, because I am older, I must be supreme. Even then, the ego wants to assert itself, its supremacy. See, you're okay to accept, okay, Ambani is superior to you. But among your peers, among all traders, okay, fine. Some traders are much better. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala is much better. But among all traders in Calcutta, among all traders in your company, among all, that feeling of supremacy doesn't, the ego always wants to establish itself. Maybe in a smaller group of people, but it will also, and it feels extremely afraid of losing that supremacy. It finds all ways in which to assert it, even if it may not be true. Why do people get offended? Because their perceived supremacy is challenged. And it's closely tied to the weakness of being perceived as supreme. Even though your ego knows it's not supreme, it's the perception, it's the weakness for that perception. Others should feel I'm supreme. Again, we have been facing the knocks and shocks of life, and from I only exist, the ego tries to cling on to that feeling. I even exist. What about me? Mera kya hoga? So it's not able to completely let go of that I. And we are all familiar with I am the doer. I am responsible. Even when we take up a responsibility, we turn egoistic about it. We turn a Frankenstein out of duty. Whoever gives us the responsibility, they feel, oh, why shouldn't I have given them the responsibility? Total kartritva they've developed about it. When you understand your part in the scheme of things, when you acknowledge your role in the cosmos, you understand you may be great, but not necessarily supreme. You may have many, many, many virtues, but there are so many others who are far greater than you, even in certain aspects. The mountain is good at carrying forests, the squirrel is good at cracking nuts. So where's the question of supremacy? There's no question of supremacy. I alone exist. It's a consciousness. When you have knowledge, you have consciousness of the existence of others. Yes, I do exist. Yes, I have likes and dislikes. I have preferences, but so do others. Chapter 3, verse number 13 of the Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 3, verse number 13, is it? I think it's 13. The Sattvic are content with the remnants of sacrifice. Hmm? Those who eat without producing are thieves. Those who cook for their own sake are sinners, eat sin. And those who are content with the remnants of sacrifice, they excel. They are freed from all sin. So, as you gain knowledge, you become completely selfless. You understand, you acknowledge the existence of others to the extent of which you're happy to let them help themselves before you. Après vous, you have that attitude of after you. Please help yourself. Hmm? One of the most beautiful qualities. See, when you're driving, especially if you're driving in India, it's impossible to practice après vous. Huh? But when you practice it and the other person also acknowledges it, it's such a beautiful feeling. When you stop to let the other pass and then they look at you and say, thank you. And you're like, beautiful feeling. If everyone had that spirit of après vous, the world would be a different place. But the ego is not able to let go of it. This is my right. I need to go first. It's a difference in degree. And I am the doer, that kartritva bhavana, failing to acknowledge the contribution of others. In any action I do, when I acknowledge that others have played an immeasurable role in making it happen, and many, many factors beyond my control have allowed me to achieve what I have achieved, automatically that feeling of doership reduces. When you achieve something, you have an immense sense of gratitude for everything that has contributed to it. And you actually have no sense of you having achieved it. That spirit. So, absence of egoism, understanding one's part in the universe, in the cosmos. No superiority nor inferiority complex. See, egoism is not only a sense of superiority complex. When it is challenged, it expresses as inferiority. Hmm? Actually, if you study the ego, and a lot of philosophers, psychologists, they say there is no such thing as superiority. Even a superiority complex is born out of inferiority. Hmm? When you feel inferior, you want to project yourself as superior. So, no superiority nor inferiority complex. Everybody has a part to play. Everybody has a role to play. Let me do my part to the best of my ability. That's the spirit with which a Jnani functions. With that thought, we'll conclude today's class. Because this next quality is quite deep, and I'd want to take it in the next class. I'm going to start it in the next class. So, with that thought, we'll conclude, and I'm happy to take up any questions.
So as you
I,
said, that, sorry.
so, I want to ask, as you said, that we don't want to take up the higher. And even if we do it to a limited extent. We don't want to go the whole way. When we see other people's qualities in this material world, we want to be like them. Why is like that? I mean, why do we give so much importance to other things than spirituality, like being?
Because, see, the mind can only function in the realm of the known. The mind can only function in the realm of the known. So your mind in its perception is only limited to what it knows and sees around it. It's the role of the intellect to tread the unknown, to step into the unknown, to step into darkness. The spiritual path is you're venturing into the dark. Very few people step into it. So, on the contrary, you're seeing hundreds and hundreds of people around you living and pursuing everything that the world has to offer. So it's only but natural that the mind will feel more comfortable to go in this direction, right? It'll feel more safe to go in this direction. There's an analogy of you've read Plato's cave analogy. You've heard about Plato's cave.
It's like when you know little, it's that one. When you know little, you think you know the most.
No. Plato's cave. It's a very famous analogy by the Greek philosopher Plato. Or at least we think it is ascribed to him. That's why I guess it's called Plato's cave analogy. And in that analogy, there was a entire civilization living underground in a cave. Inside the cave, they had an entire village. They had all sorts of practices. Don't ask me how they lived under the cave. I don't know. Ask Plato. If you really think about it, it's impossible. But they lived in the cave, away from the light. They lived in darkness. That's the analogy. That's the symbolism. They lived in darkness. They lived in ignorance. And in ignorance, they spent their entire lives, and they had many ways to entertain themselves. So in the analogy, they said they used to do drawings on the walls, and they used to have, fire rituals, and they used to entertain themselves, and they used to go about life in the cave. And families after families, an entire village was settled there. And one fellow thought, what are we doing? What are we doing? What is all of this for? Is life just to eat, sleep, dance around the fire, and draw paintings on the wall? It's like these memes you see on I just saw one on yesterday. Is life just to eat, sleep, study, go to college, get married, get a career, have 2 kids, earn money, have property, have grandkids, and then that's it? Is that what life is about? Is that all there is to life? So one fellow sitting inside the cave is thinking precisely this. Is this what life is all about? And then what happens after that? Do I start over again? And do I have to again study, eat, sleep, grow, earn money, have a career, have a family? Again I'll die. Again I'll start again. What is all of this for? So one fellow thought like that. He said, no, there must be more. There must be more. And with that inquiry, he had the daring to go into the unknown. He ventured out beyond the limits of his village inside the cave. And the first few steps he took with enthusiasm, and soon there was confusion. Soon there was a sense of doubt. What am I doing? There was a sense of worry. Am I doing the right thing? Am I going the right way? There was fear. Oh, what if I'm taking the wrong step? Is there actually something to be explored? Maybe I should just go back to the village. But a voice in him told him, no, keep going. Keep going. And after a long and arduous journey, and he slipped and fell and hurt himself also on the way. But after a long and arduous journey, when he was almost about to give up, suddenly he saw a ray of light. That ray of light was light from outside the cave. The ray of light is not visible from the village. You have to walk a certain distance away from it, and suddenly it becomes visible. Similarly, you have to walk a little bit away from your attachments. You have to become a little detached to suddenly see what else there lies in store on the spiritual journey. So he saw a ray of light, and that gave him further enthusiasm. And he followed that ray, he followed that light all the way. And before long, he reached the end of the cave. And the moment he stepped out of the cave, he saw the immeasurable sun. He smelled the beautiful earth. He heard the water flowing in the river, birds chirping, the scent of flowers. An inexplicable experience for him. And suddenly he realized, oh my God, the wealth of this world, completely unknown to those inside the cave. And the story goes that having experienced this, he goes back into the cave. He goes back into the cave with the conviction to pull one more person out. At first, people called him mad. People tried to punish him, just like they tried to punish Christ. You try to speak the truth, you try to speak what is against the followed norm, against what is traditionally believed, and people will go against you. So initially there were a lot of protests against him, but amidst all of this, one person listened to him, and he helped this person follow the journey outside the cave. And he said, look, I've done my job. I came out and then I brought you out. Now I'm going to enjoy here. You go back and find someone else. Help someone else come out. So that's the spiritual path. It's venturing into the unknown. In the beginning, it almost may feel like we're better without it. But you have to walk a distance before you see what is in store, what is at stake, before you get a conviction that yes, there is actually something there which is worthwhile. So, and certainly someone who has walked this path will help you. So that's why you need a guru. A guru is one who has walked this path, who has walked to the light, who has seen the light. But in the absence of a guru, it's very easy for the mind to feel, okay, this much is good. Let me get back to, all my practical problems and issues and things I have to deal with. So it happens to all of us. The idea is, the reason we keep pile driving this subject is maybe it'll click for someone. For some of us, it might click, and we might go the extent of coming out of the cave.
Thank you.
Further questions?
So this was a very deep thinking thing what you just said. Trying to. So what I was asking, there's this attachment to the higher that you describe in three things, like with actions, it's yagya bhav, with mind, it's awareness of the divinity, and with the intellect, you immerse in knowledge. So when you immerse in knowledge, then automatically you will, the first thing has to be immerse in knowledge. Then you will start practicing yagya bhav, and then you will be aware of the divinity. So it will start with knowledge only.
Maybe your language is knowledge. Maybe your language is knowledge. Many people don't have the tolerance and the attention for this, the interest in this. right? um, to them is words, words, and words. So many people start with uh, bhakti, and it gets, but rare. Yes, in many ways, knowledge, I mean, I think for a relatively balanced person, one who has you know, the a fair proportion of karma, bhakti, and jnana in them, yes, knowledge is definitely, you can think of knowledge as that you know, that ignition. You know, knowledge is the ignition to get the car started.
And what you just mentioned to Chitna ji's question, the point is जो आपने कहा ना कि mind only knows wants to go to the known thing. आप कितना भी हमको बोलते हैं ना कि जो happiness is not in things and unlimited ये एक limited happiness ही मिलता है things में. Unlimited happiness you will get when you go towards मोक्षत्वम. तो unknown है ना, मालूम नहीं है ना, तो उससे कहीं ना कहीं अविश्वास रहता है, तभी तो नहीं जा रहे हैं ना उस तरफ में, नहीं पकड़ पा रहे. तो वो जो आप बोल रहे हो ना, वो वही फंडा वही है कि वो माइंड ओनली वांट्स टू गो टू द नोन थिंग.
So make it known, familiarize yourself with it, keep satsang,
द the Plato example what you
keep the
gave,
company of people who follow this path, be around such inspirational people, so that your mind, आप अपने मन को मना लो. हाँ, मन को मनाना पड़ता है, या तो बुद्धि के ज्ञान से, और अगर बुद्धि का ज्ञान सफिशिएंट ना हो तो सत्संग से. सत्संगत्वे निस्संगत्व, निस्संगत्वे निर्मोहत्व, निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्व, निश्चलतत्वे जीवन मुक्ति. भज गोविंदा. Satsangatve nisangatvam. So the way to get dispassion, the way to get detachment, the way to achieve that conviction and that attachment to the higher, an essential ingredient is satsang. Satsang is in all forms. Knowledge is satsang for your intellect. But if that is not sufficient, then for your mind, you have to give emotional satsang. What is emotional satsang? It is the company of gurus. It is being in certain environments where your mind can, you know, feel connected to this journey. Your mind can feel inspired by the example of such people. So you have to give yourself satsang in all forms. Satsang, from the perspective of action, is service. Seva bhav. So, satsang. Anji.
आपने लास्ट टाइम हर्ट पीपल को एग्जांपल दिया था, देन यू सेड सास भी कभी बहू थी, देन वी शुड स्टॉप दिस साइकिल. It kept in my mind, but I could not understand what it was. And hurt people which I could not understand what was.
इसका जवाब नीलिमा जी, इसका ये जवाब है, मैं बीच से पहले बोल रहा हूँ कि सपोज करिए आपकी मदर इन लॉ, डोंट माइंड माय एग्जांपल, आपकी मदर इन लॉ, उनके साथ कुछ बुरा हुआ था जब वो उस जमाने में, आज से 70 साल पहले, तो वो हर्ट हुई. तो वो जब हर्ट हुई, तो जब आप आई घर में, तो उनके साथ वो हर्ट फीलिंग खत्म नहीं हुआ उनका, वो कहाँ निकाली, कहाँ वेंट करे, तो उन्होंने वो हर्ट आपको हर्ट करके अपना वेंट निकाला. हर्ट पीपल. अब आपकी बहू आई, अब आपके साथ बुरा हुआ था, आप बहुत समझदार हैं, आप इंटेलिजेंट है, पढ़ी लिखी है, लेकिन वो जो चीज हुआ था आपके साथ, आप भूल नहीं पाए, बहुत मुश्किल होता है भूलना. तो वो फिर कोई ना कोई चीज पे आप अपनी बहू को बोल रही है, नहीं नहीं नहीं, डोंट वेयर दीज क्लोथ्स एंड गो. तो आप हर्ट थी, आपने फिर उसको हर्ट किया. व्हाट उत्सव वाज ट्राइंग टू से, कभी ना कभी तो इस साइकिल को हम लोग को बंद करना चाहिए किसी ना किसी को ये करना होगा कि अब मैं हर्ट नहीं करूंगी, मेरे साथ जो हुआ तो हुआ, अब मैं और किसी को हर्ट नहीं करूंगी. आई थिंक नाउ इट्स रिस्पॉन्स.
Yeah, you see, it's not so conscious. It's not like it's not retribution. It's not like because मुझे किसी ने hurt किया तो मैं hurt किसी को करूँगा या करूँगी. It's not that. But when you go through any kind of pain or trauma, or जो हम ठीक से address नहीं करते, तो सॉरी, जो हम ठीक से एड्रेस नहीं करते तो उसका साइकोलॉजिकल इम्पैक्ट होता है, तो मैं आई वाज गिविंग दैट एग्जांपल, आई वाज गिविंग दैट कॉन्सेप्ट, हर्ट पीपल इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ फॉरगिवनेस, क्षमा भाव. जो क्षमा भाव होती है ज्ञानी में, तो आप में क्षमा भाव कैसे आएगी? आप में क्षमा भाव तभी आएगी जब आप अंडरस्टैंड करोगे, एक वन दैट people are helplessly expressing their nature. That is one thing. दूसरा, अपने गुणों से मतलब it's a helpless force which is making him act the way he is or she is. Second thing is, when you get into the psychology of it, when someone actually causes pain, usually there's a background, there's a history to it. Who hurts people? Who causes pain? Hurt people hurt people. The first hurt is a noun. The second hurt is the first hurt is an adjective. The second hurt is a verb. The first hurt is an adjective. Hurt people. Like strong boy. Strong is an adjective to describe the boy. To hurt people, hurt people. जिसको जिसकी साइकोलॉजी में, जिसके लाइफ में अनुभव से कहीं और से पीड़ा, दुख या पेन या ट्रॉमा हुआ हो, उसके कारण they have become maybe resentful, they have become a certain way, they have become angry, they have become pessimistic, and as a result they end up hurting others. So when you understand that, you have a sense of empathy. These are events in their lives that have led them to be like this, but I am strong enough to not carry it on. I am strong enough to not take it personally and make it about me. It's okay, I'm going to choose to end the cycle out here. I'm not going to let the hurt carry on. I'm not going to become another hurt person who hurts others. So that's the spirit of forgiveness. It's okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, with that thought, we'll conclude today's class and we'll see you again on Thursday. We'll discuss further the 20 qualities of a Jnani. Hari Om, have a good day and see you day after.
Hari Om,
Thank
and
you.
thank
Next week you
you.
must be coming to Kolkata.
No, I'm not. I'm traveling abroad actually, so I won't be coming.
You're not coming for Janmashtami?
I'll be traveling abroad. Okay, Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.